looping for nobody. I am not hearing it. I don't. All right. Should be not looping for anyone.
Now it's fixed.
All right. Okay. All right, everybody.
Funhouse time is over.
Okay. So with me is Chuck Tomasi and Andrew Barnes. And welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, the person that we wanted to get, Todd Volpe, is not, once again, not able to come. If we do any future work on this, and there almost certainly will be future work, this is an application that he and I believe Alex Steinwalks began. And so if I can ever get them, one or both of them on board, we'll have them help a little bit. So what we're doing basically is taking a meetup check-in app that is being used in the South Florida meetup. They actually... this is working production code for them. When they do their meetups, they have a little service portal widget that people use to sign in, and it actually pushes the RSVP back to meetup.com. So what we're doing is now generalizing this app, and in a second, I'm going to show a few points of it's the 0-1 many problem. Right now, it is built for having exactly one user, and we want to build it for having multiple users. So we're going to take this working app and then kind of generalize it. So before we do that, let's talk a little about ourselves. Chuck, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. I'm a senior TPMM. Been with ServiceNow for a little over 8 years. Was a customer for a couple of years before that, and have about 3 lifetimes of IT and programming experience behind that.
And Andrew?
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Barnes. I am a service management architect at a ServiceNow customer called Nivant Health. I've been on the platform for about 4 years now, in the service management space quite a bit longer than that. And I'm super excited to be here now that we're not echoing.
All right, and I'm Dave Slusher. I am a developer advocate with the developer program, developer.servicenow.com. If you had your developer instance and you wanted to look at London, you could do that right now. I'm just saying. All right, and before we get any further, let us go back around the horn in the same order and talk about what we are drinking.
I have yet to open a Sierra Nevada Sidecar Orange IPA. This was hiding in the fridge somewhere. I don't know how it's going to taste. I'm going to find out.
All right. And I've got a Boulevard Brewing Tequila Barrel Lime Gosa, which I'm pretty excited to drink today.
And I've got an O'Shea's Irish Stout of unknown age. I cannot remember. I have a few things that have been hanging in the beer fridge for a very long time. I can't remember if this is one of them. So this may be one of those shockingly old beers. So, okay. So you guys talk amongst yourself for 1 second while I get my screen share set up.
All right.
I will start showing where we're at with this.
Andrew, that beer sounds like something my wife would be all over. She loves the lime, she loves the tequila, and she loves her sour. So let me know how that goes.
It's a great combo, and I'm already enjoying it right now. And when we were doing the intros, I was thinking, another thing that we could, give ourselves useless work to do is see how many different ways you've said your title on the shows.
You want to go back to like the beginning of Tech Now?
Because
where I was a senior technical consultant.
Your title has changed so many times.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Senior technical consultant, then team lead, then senior services enablement program manager, then senior solution architect, something like that. I don't know. It's all over the place.
All right. At this point, people should see my screen.
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Excellent. And we should have the width should be all right on this. Okay. So let me show a little about this app that we've got here. This is the developer meetup app. This is what they're using in South Florida. So it basically it has lists of attendees, it has lists of meetups, and in this case there's no demo data. I have moved this over to my developer instance away from the one where they're existing. But there is a list of meetups, and in this case, what we're talking about when we say meetup is an actual occurrence of the meeting, because like it's a default assumption that they're all in South Florida.
Dave, can you bump up the font size on that just a notch or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
So,
Nice.
And then members would be the members of this group. And then properties, I'm going to show you this. I have tried to scrub this. API key is going to be scrubbed. It's going to be invalidated as soon as we're done. So I'm not too worried about. I wanted to make sure I made Todd's API key disappear, but this is one that will be invalidated very shortly. So don't worry about it.
Well, don't you want one of those like per group or group organizer, right?
Well, no, because this is the API key.
That's the master key to like the pro account we have.
This is an API key to the pro developer thing. Okay. So we're going to invalidate this quite shortly, sure. And then this is one of the things we don't want to. This is one of the things we don't want to. And in fact, if you look at this properties page, you'll see right now these are the things we're going to generalize. Right. Like the current meetup event right now, this is like the meetup ID of what the next meetup would be.
Right. You need one of those per meetup.
Correct. And this is the URL name for the meetup. And this is kind of built into the properties. And this one needs to be generalized. This is the one thing that will stay in the properties.
Okay. This is very similar to what Garrett and I were doing with the TechNow Todoist integration. So that we have profiles, and then each profile contained, like in this case, it would be a profile per, say, meetup. And then the meetups would have possibly their own API key. But if you wanted to still make it a universal API key for this one, then you could have which events are under each meetup, mirroring what's on meetup.com, but in the ServiceNow space. So our integration is going to have to sync a couple of different things.
Mm-hmm. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group, and you can kind of kick this stuff around while I do kind of the boring work of the group. So I'm going to create a group table.
And what is the purpose of this table?
So this group would be
like
Miami,
South Florida,
Phoenix.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what do we need on that? We need a name, obviously.
Name.
Probably going to be your display value.
Well, and while he builds some of that, Chuck, why don't we just take a moment and talk about the ServiceNow developer meetups in case some of our audience don't know about that program.
Great
very
point.
Well.
They may be watching this for the first time. You want to lead?
Sure. So ServiceNow is sponsoring local developer meetups for developer communities to get together, share ideas, collaborate, get to know each other, and work together to get exposed to new ideas and help each other. And so to facilitate that, they have a meetup.com account in which you can have, if you've already got one in your area, go to that one. If you don't have one in that area, you can reach out to the developer program through developer.servicenow.com to contact them to help either you be the organizer and starter of that meetup, or we can see if there's other people in your area to get a meetup founded and going, so that then you can then consume this check-in when it's time for you to have your meetups.
All right. Well said. Well said. Okay. So this is, while you guys were doing that, so I set this up. We've got the name, and then I'm pulling out the pieces that, were in those properties, the URL, the current event. I added an owner, which is just a reference to a sysuser on this particular instance. And I'm gonna stop there. There may be something else we need, but I'm just gonna. That's kind of like the MVP.
An active flag, maybe, or it's up to you.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that now.
You're killing me, though. I'm the pedantic, lazy programmer. You don't have to use a string field in the type; it'll default to string.
And I'm the one who likes explicit over.
Yeah.
It's going to say string as soon as you save.
Yeah. Particularly for this venue, I just like to do that. So we'll do active. I'm going to hit submit. And like if you're new to ServiceNow development, at no point are you ever pulling out the stone tablet and chiseling, right?
This is a very fluid platform.
There are very few things you can't change. The name of this table is one of the few. What you would call it, this right here ultimately maps to MySQL. That's hard to change, or actually impossible to change. Everything else pretty much can change. All right, so we've got that. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make the other changes right now, which is so the meetup, and we might rename this a little bit. So
let's define what the meetup is. Is this an
Meetup
event?
and then that'll help
one
name it, yeah.
event. This is
Okay.
one instance. This is one event, one get together of the.
So it's going to have a date and a title and a location and a
Yes.
reference to
Which
the
and it
group
has
field.
and it has all that stuff already. It has the
Good.
date.
Okay.
It has everything except the group right now.
Okay, well, let's just add a reference field to the group.
But I probably want to name it something a little more meetup event.
Sure.
Or
We'll
occurrence
start
or
there. It's just a label.
whatever.
Yeah, we'll call it meetup event. And again, like I was just saying, it won't change this name. And we're going to leave everything else the same, untouched. And we're just going to add a reference to the table we just created.
Earl Duke says, I keep hearing my name for Earl.
Earl.
When every time we say URL is Earl.
That is it's more than an occupational hazard. That's a life hazard. Earl.
Wouldn't be a hazard if he went into like veterinary medicine, I suppose.
And group is one of those. And I maybe could have made that. There's actually I could have maybe named it as something that didn't.
You know what I find is very handy is just start typing X underscore and it'll find your sculpt tables for you real fast.
Yeah. In this case, I'm okay with all that. Group reference, and one of the things I didn't pay the slightest bit of attention to, and I'm always bad about this, is paying attention to what module this went under, and I did not tell it to go under the existing module.
Oh, and by the way, I'm glad we actually started with the table called Meetup, because if I had done this, I would have probably fallen into the same trap that I've warned people against before: is watch the names of your tables and fields to make sure they don't match keywords that already exist. Because if you have a field called event and say you pass that and you start messing around with things like script actions or notifications, you're going to run into our event object and your event field, and it gets kind of wonky. Things are not going to behave the way you want them to. So whenever you're creating fields and tables and objects, be aware of some of the basic ones that are out there in the platform already, so you don't do what I did for about 4 hours and then have your wife humiliate you.
Yeah, and so this is the thing I will go back and fix later, because it's one of those things that's so easy to do at table creation time, and then it's just like a pain to do later on. It actually went there. That's interesting. Maybe it defaulted to putting it in the existing one. Interesting. I didn't actually go through and tell it to put the group module under there, but it defaulted. Maybe this is a Linden default.
When you make a new table, it makes a new module.
Right. It did not make it put it under the existing module. And I didn't explicitly tell it to do that. So, okay. Minor side thing. So I've updated the event with a new name, and I've added the reference to the group. So at this point, I believe that this is, I guess we probably have to do the same thing to members.
Members.
Here's an interesting thing to think about is we probably don't want this to be a one-to-many.
Exactly. I was just going to say this should be a many-to-many, because I, speaking from personal experience, go to many meetups. It's not a common occurrence, but it can happen.
All right. I was I'm in the wrong place. So my initial without thinking about it too hard, I was thinking about putting a reference to the group in here, but that would lead you astray. That would mean you could only be a member of one group.
You maybe have a default home group.
And I was thinking the primary. You might have a primary kind of.
I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's go ahead and create a many-to-many.
Yep.
And in this case,
so
this is one of those things.
From group to member.
This is one of those things. I know that I always struggle with exactly what the difference is.
Between what and what?
I'm gonna do, like from to two. If you're doing a symmetric many-to-many.
Not much.
All right. XNC group.
You could reverse these and come away with the same functionality. It really isn't. The other thing to watch before you hit that old submit button is the table name, because these can get really long and ugly if you're not careful. And I always like to make my tables easy on the programmer, because I'm going to be doing scripting later. And if it's called something really berserkly ugly, I'm going to hate myself for the rest of the app.
All right. So group
see,
to member.
XNCC dev meet M2M members groups. I would probably take the plural out of there and maybe make a member group, but I don't like plural table names and I don't like plurals in my table name. But that in and of itself looks pretty good.
There's not really that much else you want to take out.
Right,
you want
right.
it obvious that it's M2M.
You can leave all the from fields and labels, everything on the right side. You can leave that alone and just go for it.
All right, let's go ahead and create this. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and before we get too much further, just to keep from tripping us up, I'm going to go to the properties. I'm going to eliminate.
Wait. Fix the label on that table now. See where it created you a new table up in the tables left. Excuse me. It called it the same thing as the table name. No, on the left menu. Dev meet M2M meet member group. What a dumbass label. Table label. Under data model tables. Label. There. Oh,
I gotcha.
That one.
Yeah.
I would, just
group
member to group or sys group. Kind of like we have sys group sys member, user right? GR member. Yeah. This might be. There you go. It's still self-descriptive. It's just not technically descriptive. There.
Okay.
Sorry to sidetrack you. Where are we going?
So I want to go before I go too much further. I want to not forget to. I just want to pull those properties out because I want.
Oh yeah.
I want these actually gone so that
Yep.
Anything that uses them will actually fail.
Break. You might want to copy them into like a text editor or something so you can do a code search on them.
Okay, let's do that.
And then you can find where they were used, or most of the places where they're used, because the code search is not 100% coverage. It's about 98%.
Let's do that. Okay, got it saved in Evernote and delete. And the other nice thing is worst case scenario. This is all in.
It's
all
an app.
in.
You can
GitHub.
pull it back down if you need.
Yeah, and then the URL name.
The URL name is Earl Duke.
All right, and we'll delete that. So now let's go ahead and create us a little bit of demo data. Well, we've got this, and let me refresh this so I can get everything.
Yep. Click.
One of the things I miss is I forget when it came out. Maybe it came out like Geneva-ish or Helsinki-ish. The refresh this navigator.
Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
I do too. I heard somebody had a shortcut for that, and I don't remember what it was. They said that you click the folder box twice or something, and I can never reproduce it. I can't remember what it is, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm completely
the
non-intuitive.
first icon, double click.
If you double click the little file folder box, I guess.
Yep.
Twice.
Okay.
It was me, Chuck.
Did that actually do it?
I never. Well, I don't know. I haven't changed it. If we change something, okay.
It does a full reset of that. That's locally cached. It doesn't do a pull down recache, but it rebuilds the whole thing.
Nice.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's create RDU.
We should have that as one of the SN Dev Slack channel tips. Those things go way too fast. I could never read them though.
And let's go ahead and make this active, and let's. I'm gonna just put in bogus stuff for this. Actually, you know what? Let me not do that. I can actually pull the actual information.
What was the purpose of the current event field?
I think somewhere in there that's what it uses to know which event it's checking into. And that may be a thing we may
that was a key to send to meetup.
Yeah, that was the number or the ID of the current event. Okay, I get it.
And that may be, that could be something that could be done implicitly, and that may be something that gets factored out in the future. And Meetup is now being extremely slow, so maybe I will just go with my initial impression, and we'll just call this probably something.
Something is going to.
I know is fake. And we'll make me the owner. I'm wondering if this is my whole connection that has gotten Slow.
You're still broadcasting.
There is that.
I need to go schedule the next Raleigh Dev meetup.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, do I not have a? Oh, this is my PDI. Sorry. Let's just pick. David. Let's pick a few fake people. All right. We'll make David a Lou. Let's make a new group, and let's make it Phoenix. We'll make it active.
Do you want active just a default to true?
I can.
Well, save the record first. I always forget that too. It's just become now it's a habit after I'm doing so many active fields.
Now, how do we want? One of our other favorite.
Oh, Beth. Right. She's doing good work.
All right.
She does a lot of work.
Default value. True. All right. So now we've got a little bit of, we've got two groups. What we want to do is we want to start refactoring the places that use it. So Chuck's suggesting of doing the code search. Let's go ahead and actually do that. So let's find every place right now that accessed that previous property.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I'm really, this may or may not, I'm actually completely fine with this not working by the end of the, by the bottom of the hour, because I'm really, this is, I'm less surgical than I am sometimes. I really just want to break everything and then kind of start working my way back out to fixing it. So if this were like a thing that, that was like in production and you needed to do something a little, you need to like keep it operating, I would do things a little different. But in fact, this way, I actually like the idea of like breaking it first and then working and to see what things.
Not an uncommon approach.
All right. So we've got
a UI action called sync.
Is this literally the only thing that uses it? Okay. Let's go ahead and do it. While we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and search on the other one, and we'll just leave them both up. So this might be simpler than I thought. And again, I spent a little bit of time familiarizing myself, not a huge amount of time. So I didn't, and I have not, the little blue dot saved me there because pointed out that although I changed that, I never actually updated the record.
And this is a good example of how you might inherit an app at some point and have to reverse engineer it.
We've never had that happen. No.
Yeah. Let's imagine you inherited this app from somebody who either voluntarily or involuntarily is no longer with your company, and you have let's just assume, now I have people I can talk to, but let's assume you had no one you could talk to, and you have nothing but this code, and you have to figure it out from there. We'll kind of pretend like that's the scenario.
Yep.
So now we've got, you see that we've basically got each of these UI actions are the ways that we are invoking it. And to just show a little bit more about kind of what we have inherited, there is a defined API here, which is integrating with meetup.com. And it's got these endpoints: the get attendees, the post attendance, the get event, get events. And so get event, if we go into it, I think is getting the information for a single event.
Yeah.
And then get events is getting a list of events, I believe.
Okay.
That seems sensible.
So your group should pull down all the events as a related list to your group. And you pick which meetup you want to be using for that one. Would seem like
well, definitely. I think
maybe another table. But.
Yeah, I think these were set up first. I don't know that every one of these gets exercised. Yeah. I think probably, and again, this is where Todd could tell us the history a little, and Alex could tell us the history a little better. I'm pretty sure that not every one of these 5 messages is getting called currently. I think he was kind of, while he was in there integrating, he integrated everything and then kind of had it there to consume. Okay. And then the other thing that exists is the service portal widget. And this is the thing that I said is does exist. And so it's like an interesting use case. Let's go to the widget editor. And what is it again? What is it called? I just was looking at it. It's called Meetup Check-in. So the way that they use this is, wait a second.
I check.
Widget.
Check in.
Check in. That sounds promising.
Am I looking at a page or am I looking at widgets? Check.
You're looking at the widget editor.
Oh, that's the portal, not the widget. Okay.
Service portal widgets check-in. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the reason, the way that they're doing this, and let's see if I can get a nice preview on this. I don't know if it has preview. Let's see. We can try
barbecue check-in.
Let's go ahead and make it have a preview. I'm not so sure. I don't know whether or not this will show anything sensible. Okay, so let's. This is just what the widget does. Okay. Is you click here to check in, and so you're bringing. You basically are RSVPing, and I thought there was there's probably another widget paired with it. Meetup home. I guess not. I thought there was another widget paired with it to search for the user.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was up there. It showed you.
Yeah, there was a search widget. Okay, what is your name?
Okay.
So I want to see how this works because I've got a question about it.
Do I have to hit this on this widget? Let's see.
I'm wondering, does it pull down the list of people who signed up from meetup.com as members?
It had RSVPs and attendees. So,
but what if somebody walks in?
See, now this is, so this is like when I pull up I don't know. There might be a reason why this preview was not enabled is it might need some information that doesn't exist easily.
From the URL or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know. So let's start from that.
Yeah, because presumably you would have which meetup it's contextual for, and then only show you the attendees for that.
Yeah, and this may not be. So this certainly will require some work, and we may.
You've got it. You can see there was a get parameter, SP get parameter on there, so it needed something from the URL that's not in there.
Yeah, so we can. Yeah, so somewhere in here we're going to have to get. I don't know if code search searches across service portal widgets, so it may be doing some of the stuff that we needed.
Not at the moment, but Corey Searing is on. He said, "You want it? I'll add it." So I said, yes, service portal widgets. He said, you want the instance or the widget? I said, yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay. So this is ultimately the goal that we're trying to get to is all this stuff, gets basically consumed in a large part by that, by that service portal widget. Now, how Todd uses it, and this is one of the reasons for generalizing it and making it available to all the meetups, is I have been to some of them. I don't know how yours in Phoenix is, but for example, the one in Raleigh is like this, where you may have an access controlled building.
Right.
So then what Todd does is he just gives a tablet to the receptionist, and this checkout in app is how they prove that they are coming into the building. So I've been into some buildings where it can be a challenge actually getting through the front door, and so you've got to basically you've got to have like a meeting sponsor that runs up and down, and in some cases they can't even operate the elevator without a key card, and it can be more or less challenging to actually get you physically into the meetup. And so that's one of the problems this whole check-in app is solving, is by the fact that you have RSVP'd to the meetup, you can now show to the receptionist to let you in. And it actually is a little bit better because, if the idea is anybody just walks in off the street and says that they're with the meetup, they go through, they may not actually be with the meetup. It's kind of it would be a weird attack surface area to impersonate as a meetup user, but not an impossible one.
Sure. Well, the thing I really want it for is actually putting the posting attendance back, because I'm bad about that.
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Yeah, and then one of the from my perspective, the thing that I, as one of the administrators of the program, does is I want to have all that information, although it exists on Meetup, I'd like to have it also in an instance where I can do performance analytics and all the kind of all the now on now type stuff. Okay, so all right, we're halfway in. We've got that. Let's go ahead and start working on our UI actions. And so our UI actions right now, we've got the 2, and I don't believe we have a script include.
I still think we're missing something in the data model. You've got a group, and the group has events, right? Which is in the meetup
or
event
the
table.
The event has the group, so that's a one to many.
Right. Right.
An event exists under a group.
An event exists under a group.
Mm-hmm. Members are members of.
Members are members of many events.
Many groups.
No.
Yeah, that is what we set up. This is
members.
Are they member? Oh,
groups.
they are members of group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is when you go on meetup.com and you say, I joined this group. That's what this is.
Okay,
now, what we don't have is an event to
attendees.
Member. Is that the thing you think we're missing? Is a many to many between actual attendance?
Yes.
How does he post the attendance?
So there is an attendees table, which I think is different from. And so that's
just what you get back from the REST API call, right?
So that gets the RSVP and which meetup it is, and any guests for that meetup.
Yeah, and I think so.
But we don't have a reference to an event.
It's not a many to many, but it is a table with 2 reference fields. Okay.
Right. So actually, and here's the thing that I did wrong. I was using sysuser. I should use developer because this is or member. No, never mind. He's using that. That is his members table. So
okay.
So this is an attendee who is a member of the group. This attendees is going to need some help. So is it sufficient? This may have some hairy thinking here, and we may need some ideas from the people in the chat. Is it sufficient to add the group to this attendee, or does it need something different? Like, do we need
we've got
member to member? Do we need the many to many?
Because we've got the meetup.
You could walk to the group.
Because the meetup knows which group it's for.
Yep.
So this doesn't need anything.
It doesn't need anything.
Think so. No. Yeah.
I think the only thing I know we definitely need is a interface for choosing at the on the tablet. But we're not there yet. So in the widget, we need to which group am I, and then which meetup am I doing for the administrator. But that's later.
Yeah, and possibly that may actually be implicit by the fact that you are you're logged. So you would have to be logged into the instance, and so maybe but even so, you could be the administrator of more than one group, I guess. So
potentially,
yeah.
So as the owner, let's walk through a use case. As the owner, let's say I'm running the Phoenix group.
Mm-hmm.
What is it I want to do first? I need to set up a group, or am I pulling that from me to? I set up a group. The group is kind of like the profile, right? That says, here's my API key, and here's the API key is still a property, but here's the ID. How are they going to know that?
Well, are you Chuck? Are you talking about at organized time or at meetup, like the day?
I'm talking about pre-meetup time, at organized time. I'm going to set up an event.
Establish a new.
I don't know. Ideally, I think the organizer of the meetup does not do anything over here because they're going to set this up on meetup.com.
Okay.
So I think maybe.
Are we getting a webhook that says, "Hey, Phoenix set up a new meetup"?
Possibly. I don't, off the top of my head, know if they exist, but it could also be a scheduled job. Like, because we have that get events. So we could conceivably walk the list of every one of our. I would prefer a webhook that says new thing is
new thing is created. Go tell ServiceNow. Yeah.
That would be better. The distant second choice would be poll every day to see if new ones exist. That is an interesting question. It would take 2 seconds to do.
I'm doing a quick search.
Yeah, if you want to search in the background while we talk, if Meetup has a webhook, that we would
most
do
of that is just administrative stuff that the program will probably administer, is establishing the groups and putting the ownership to them.
Right. I don't see the individual Meetup owners. I don't think have to do anything here at all.
Okay. Okay. Just trying to feel out who's doing what and when.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that should all, however it gets over, that should all happen. This should populate via integration only.
Mm-hmm.
and in worst case, right now it is at UI action. There is a sync UI action. Again, this is, as it exists today, this doesn't I assume what's happening is after he schedules one up on Meetup, Todd hits sync over here, and that syncs his new Meetup now comes down as a record on his instance that he's using.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do right now, if we generalized this UI action, we would get basically that functionality if we had it loop over our existing groups.
Okay.
But that's probably not how we want to do it, because we've now broken this chain where you have this small group where the one person who's going to hit the sync button knows that they just scheduled an event, and we don't have that situation in the generalized app. So I think the next thing we do is let's do the sync, except let's pull it out of this UI action and let's just put it in a script include.
I was going to say that first.
That seems reasonable.
Because right now we don't know how we're going to call it.
Right.
We're going to call it some way. We don't know how. Whether that is
a webhook or a scheduled job. Yeah.
Now the webhook probably wouldn't need this because
this is an outbound REST. The webhook is
outbound. However, it's also not impossible. It would be surprising, but not impossible if the webhook, if we needed some information beyond the.
Yeah, it just told you, hey, something changed. I might need to invoke it.
Exactly.
Right.
There are. I'm trying to think. I ran across something like this where the webhook was basically, the webhook was an event, but it wasn't the full thing. So the webhook basically was your signal to go and call your integration. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and paste that in there before I lose it off my clipboard, and then let's. Do we want to have one general one? Let's start with one script include and factor out if we need to. Let's just call it Meetup Utils. Meetup.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're probably going to need more than one, and this one would be your Meetup REST.
Let's just call it Meetup Integration.
Oh, who wants to type that?
Meetup
REST. You can tell what it's for. It's the REST the outbound REST to Meetup. All right.
So right here,
you should have typed the name before you pasted the script.
Yeah.
Oh, God dog it. Yeah. All right. Is it gonna?
I don't know.
Put T back and then.
No.
That's what we're gonna do.
There's shortcuts and then there's shortcuts.
I'm too lazy to type all that initialization.
Right. I don't remember the format, all that prototype stuff.
Okay.
Actually, I do have it in a text expander macro, but I'm not going to do it here.
Yeah, that's the other thing about. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste it down here. I'm going to factor this a little bit.
Yep.
Piece by piece, because
the first three lines actually could probably get thrown back into the UI action.
Yeah, except we're not actually. We're actually not.
That's true. We're not going to use the property.
Do any of those.
Yep.
So we're just going to use the functions. The sync event. Let's start from here. So we're going to change these to the prototype.
Yep.
Function.
Done this too many times to count.
I'll just do a clean.
You got an extra S in there after the word.
After
the word's function.
Yep. All right. Let's do that. These prototypes will probably have to change, but let's just get them in here first.
Yep.
Is this the only other one?
I think so. Oh, nope.
No, it's more than one. Okay.
The
goodly.
The little minimizers are very handy for that in the line numbers.
If I cut and pasted that one wrong, I probably misnamed it.
Name looked good. Name looked good.
Did I type that
Sync
S?
event.
Okay.
Yep.
Sync attendees, comma. And then is this
Developer.
That's the last one. All right.
Yay. That has no code in it.
All right.
Or was it collapsed?
I like those little collapsers.
Yeah, I collapsed it right before.
Okay.
I cut and pasted it, collapsed. All right. So that's syntactically correct. So this stuff that's in the UI action, I think I'm gonna just paste it to my Evernote, but we don't want that because it's the basically the invocation of that stuff.
Yep.
Just so that I can remember what they were doing. And you can actually, let me undo that.
My guess is since it called sync event, that sync event called the other two at some point, and we probably have to put this dot something somewhere.
And so you can see it's like setting actually that whole that property
property
set here. I don't love that.
I don't love that either. Set property in my mind can run you some serious risks because it clears the cache, and if you do it too often, you're going to have performance problems.
But like this is the one. I mean, this is what we deleted. Right?
Yep.
Yes. This does not.
We shouldn't be using it.
So really and truly, like wherever we would be doing the thing now, we would basically be calling meetup_rest.syncEvent.
But doing a lookup for get property will probably be handy.
You only want to do a get property to get your API key.
No,
the rest is going to be handled through the IDs.
For where in the code there's any references to existing get properties is what I was saying.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good idea.
If we're setting something, it's probably looking for that somewhere else, and we should probably know where that is.
Yep. Yeah, except that we know that that's the only occurrence of that property name because we searched for it.
That's true because we searched for it.
So this is not actually being consumed at this point. So again, that's another thing where I don't know the history of this.
That's the one that we did search for. And could we close
it's being set but not yet. That's interesting.
Let me close this window. Let's go ahead and save this right now where we are. I'm going to submit it. Now let's go back. After I submit it, let's go back and look. Let's look over this. While we're in here thinking about it, we're probably the prototypes are insufficient because like event has the ID and URL name, though that needs to be generalized. And let's look at the others. Let's use.
Well, it might be. I mean, you're still going to need the ID, the event ID,
right?
And the
but
URL.
Probably what we do is pass a reference to.
You could do that to the meetup record.
I would want to maybe be passing around just the objects of the groups, the meetups.
Yeah. Okay.
The
like we were doing before.
Yeah. Sync attendees has ID, URL name, state. For right now, I'm not too worried about this. Again, that might get factored later. Dev get ID
gets the users
photo. So is this syncing the photo from?
It doesn't do an if. It just assumes it got
just
it.
To get, yeah.
Oh wait, there's an if find later. Okay, I get you.
Update or insert. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's an interesting technique to do an upsearch. Sure.
Yeah, in my travel checker, I have a insert or create pattern that I have in basically everything, where I do kind of this sort of thing where I look for it. If I don't find it, I insert. But it's not. This is actually much more concise than the junk I'm doing. I'm curious where the sync developer. Let's look for a sync developer. I don't know if this exists. I don't know if this is wired up yet. Let's see if anybody else is doing it. Dev equals sync developer. Oh, this is in. Okay, it is being done. It's in the same include. All right. So sync attendees is syncing the developer. Where is that photo? I'm curious what that. Oh, the pic. All right. Sync developer.
What was the line number?
So
74.
Body member name pic. Body member name and pic. Where does this pic come from? Pic is body member photo thumb. So the thumbnail comes down as a part of the
response body.
response body for, we're getting the get attendees includes
a photo.
Is it including? I wonder what the format is. It must be an URL to the photo, not the. Surely it's not like the UU encoded binary. Well, I say surely.
I think it's base 64, old man.
Okay, let's see. Thumb and thumb link are in there. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. Again, this is stuff that exists.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and do the format code. Is it gonna? It didn't actually do anything. Oh, there it did. All right, so let's just assume that this works. Let's try. Let's see if we can exercise this.
Okay.
The problem being that we need a real group to need some real data.
Okay, so go
Out
to
on
meetup. Yeah, pull in an ID.
Let me go find a past, just for safety's sake here. Let me find a
closed event.
An event in the past. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's pick an old Raleigh meetup. Since we have the Raleigh meetup guy on the line, let's find the one for June 20. Let's go to that. All right. So I'm going to pull that over here. So that's the ID for that.
Yep.
And let's go ahead and while we're at it, let's actually do the real thing in our
group name. Yeah.
So let's do the URL is really this.
Part of the URL if you're constructing it elsewhere, yeah.
And I think all the rest of that is kind of, I'm sure, built somewhere in this code.
Okay.
The current event, I'm not going to worry about. Let's see if it actually. Oh, that's not interesting.
Lovely.
Interesting call stack from my service. All right, so let's go back to RDU. So I didn't do that. Let's just go ahead and see, out of curiosity, how much of this actually happens.
Where you copied the group ID though? Where are we storing? Because this is the current event ID.
So the script action was setting it. Let's go. Actually, we are going to have to do that. So when you clicked that sync, it was pulling the event and putting it in that record. So.
And it wants the ID and
sync
the
event,
name.
sync event, sync attendees, sync developer. Now, here's where property is set property current.id. So you would sync it, you would initiate this from an event record.
So that's where the UI action was?
Yes.
Okay.
So this lives on the meetup event.
Yeah.
So given an event, you would sync it. So now we do actually need to, what we need, because we don't have that built in. So let's change this here.
This is the case of what do I have and what does it need?
How about we change that to an event GR?
Okay.
Now this is going to be, and let's go ahead and get rid of all that stuff. Now it's for sure.
Now you're going to need to say, what
Lots
do I have?
Wait, before I do that, let me undo what I just did. And var URL name. So that's like the less destructive. And this is something I hate about how I do this. I have no Mr. Consistency is so all over the place on how I do these. Capitalized GR, underscore GR, G, lowercase r.
I know. I'm trying to come to grips with that myself because it seems to change every week.
Event gr dot get IU, and it's called. We have an ID.
I am finding myself putting the data type into the variable name more and more, because there were points where I couldn't remember if ID represented an integer or a string. And I said, screw it. I'm going to pass it into this function and call it ID str with a capital S. And it helps later to decipher some of this stuff. Because when you start getting 2 or 3 of these IDs floating around in the function, it gets really confusing fast.
And Dave, could you collapse the Application Explorer? Just to give us a little more real estate here. The menu on the left.
Yeah. All right.
We're starting to not have a lot of workspace left.
I think the
editor is wrapping at 4 characters.
The 18 tabs that I have open also is not helping with that. So URL name, and where's our event? And is this name?
Name.
Oh, no, URL name would be.
Oh yeah, that's the.
That's coming from the group, right?
Go to the UI action and see what was listed there.
There's an ID. There's a link right there. The link was the URL. What do we need? We need the ID.
Current.name. So that was event.name. So we
event, it was passing in current.id, so there was an event ID on there.
Current ID and current.name.
Yep. Okay.
So this implies, so ID is not the sys ID is this.
Correct.
Thing. So we'll just do that. So we know that like whatever, and this is one of those things that we know that like whatever the heck these are, that is the thing, because given the same value of current, you're going to get the same thing. All right. So that actually should be, enough, right?
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Well, for at least parity with that UI action. Not saying that that's going to be perfect, but
so we should be able to just call that.
I was actually thinking at first. I was thinking it was going to be more. I thought it was going to be more dramatic than that. So what we also need is we need an event
on the Raleigh here.
But the other thing, let's look at our other UI action. Was our other UI action for populating events? I don't remember what the
get events in top right.
Yeah, sync developer. So like right now there is a double entry. There's a get events. There's a get events REST message, but there is not a. I don't think anybody's exercising it. Let's see.
Is get events the UI action exercising it?
Let us see. This is definitely like in this situation. This is as a code search, as much code search as. Oh, so sync events is doing get events. Sync events is doing that.
Okay.
And from the get events UI action. Okay, so there's a get events UI action.
Yeah, that's the one at the top right.
Which maybe I may have done this in the wrong order, because I think this one may not be testable without the other one. So I liked the idea of like being able to do some sort of, well, can we do a sync event? Yeah, what we'll do is we'll fake this up.
We could unit test this.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and create an event with the minimum amount. I'll just do it by hand. So let me go back to Raleigh Meetup. And where were we? And back to my June 20. Oh, I pulled it away. That's why I pulled it away. All right, so let me just cut and paste some information here. And the ID is this.
I was going to call it pasta and pesto, but okay.
Status. Let's call it.
Leave it as past, just so we don't confuse anyone.
Well, I don't know that we're going to call it upcoming, because I don't know that it's going to not do stuff if it's in the past.
Okay.
Date, June 20. Well, whatever. Well, this may actually have some problems. And then the group is our new stuff.
RDU.
And let's go ahead and submit this.
Yeah, I don't think sync should have been on insert or show insert on that UI action.
Yeah. So, okay. So now what we're going to do, and I'm just going to short circuit this a little bit, and I'm just going to copy the sysid. And let us go through. Do I have Explore on this instance? I do.
Woohoo!
And let's not do that. We want this running in this scope. Let's say var.
Yeah.
Dang.
Equals new. And now I'm going to expose my fact that I've forgotten everything about the naming in a few seconds.
X underscore something, something, something.
Copy and paste.
Yep. But don't lose your sys ID.
Yeah, I'll get it back. Which one? I'm in the. This is the event.
The event table.
Meetup events.
It's one of these 20 tabs. Meetup event table in cell A2, B2.
And this is actually the fact that you can't rename the tables is actually going to ultimately be confusing because the meetup and the meetup event is confusing to me.
Get our sys back.
Okay, sys. All right. Then let's just do a.
And presumably that get events should have generated our events.
I don't know that I have debug turned on. Gr.name.
Can't do a gr log in a scope. Do info. You can do debug or info.
If I do debug and I don't have the property on, will it work?
Yeah, it'll work.
Okay, let's do debug. Let's just do this much. Did it work? What the huh?
Maybe missing global qualifier in something? In
right.
what?
This is what we're going to do. And back up.
I know where he's
Background.
going.
To the background.
Batman.
All right, let's run this, see if we... Okay.
Okay.
Now, next step, we're going to do...
Instantiate the script include.
var
Meetup rest.
meetup rest mr equals new.
Can't tell you how many times I forget the new. It seems silly, but I keep forgetting it.
mr dot, and now I also don't
Sync
remember.
event.
Sync event. Sync event. I'm just going to pass gr.
Let's see what happens.
Is there anything we want to do? Let's look 1 second and see what the...
Do we need to save our meetup rest script include? Because it's blue.
Probably. Sync event, and its output, it's got no output. It does this action redirect, which is, I don't know what's going to happen in there. Let's just see if that happens. Actually, no. Here's what we're going to do. And update that. And let's just see what happens this way. All right.
Ooh.
So this will basically be the last act here. We'll just see what happens. It's quite possible that not much sensible happens. Run it.
Super friends.
Now let's just let's walk through this and kind of see what's happening, and this will be where we'll leave it.
It's almost family time.
That is me. All right. That's so my California coworkers don't schedule me for things. All right. So we've got the ID, which that is correct. We've got the name.
Yeah. Good.
Which is
Instantiate a
correct.
REST message v2.
We're setting a parameter, setting the parameter. This should be right. Again, we're going to see this.
And here we go. Hold your breath. It did something. What happened back here?
Something pooped.
Oh, yep, something pooped.
Invalid URI. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, because it's making,
use the event name in the URL.
There's an assumption in here. Okay, so we're going to stop here because this is going to be a thing that's going to take a little offline. I'll fix this. There's an assumption in here that's not correct. That the name that's being passed in there is so I think maybe if you do this via the API, it fills in the name as the URL name. I guess actually what I can do.
It's using the event name instead of the group name. That's all.
Well, yeah.
Or
the
meetup
That does
name.
seem to the problem is the
so we want to
name, and
okay,
we
so
instead want the group's name.
So what we want to do in here is
Well, the group's name was just RDU. What was then the actual URL for that
what
event?
what we want to do is taking this event gr. We want to dot walk
To the group's name. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact,
To the
it's this
group's
URL name.
Yeah.
URL
Group's
name.
name.
Yep.
Event gr dot group.
Oops.
What?
You need a variable.
Var.
You need the left-hand side of that assignment.
What we're going to do is we're going to put it up here. You group URL name. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Group.
URL. I just called it
URL.
URL. Okay.
Group of URL. Couldn't resist.
Dot get value URL. All right, let's replace that. We'll try it one more time. If this one fails, we're going to stop on a failure, which hate to do, but I can live with that.
Well, given the changes we did,
let's back
you
it
still
up.
you still want to debugger it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's run it through the debug.
If you've never used the script debugger, you need that in your life, and you should start using it.
There's a London feature right there in the thing right next to the scope picker is record for rollback. It defaults to on. We're going to talk about that on Tech Now on the 14th.
Is your debugger just didn't prompt you, Dave?
Possible.
It's my
see if the debugger
favorite
is
London feature.
Okay. Well, we failed on that, which is did it not find? I think. Okay, I had a problem with my dot walk or something. Get value is not allowed. In scope.
In scope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very minor problem. So, all right. We're gonna stop it there on the dreaded failure. I'm gonna go ahead and deshare at this moment, and we can kind of talk it through where we're at. Now, if I can figure out, I had the hardest time figuring out how to start the sharing, because again, it moved out from under that plus in Skype.
When you hover over your
Skype
stuff on the
likes
bottom,
to change things.
there's a little screen share icon just to the right by the heart. There you go.
Okay. All right. So we got things started. We've got the groundwork laid out for this to be generalized. And so I think probably like another 20 minutes and this is working. It doesn't like whatever problem is happening currently is, I think, pretty minimal. So I think I'm going to do that, just on my own and get that working. I don't know what the topic next week will be. It might be this. It might be something different. We might. Andrew, I know, has some. The thing that you wanted to talk about on your next time, was it going forward with your collision update set collision stuff, or did you have another different thing you wanted to talk about at some point?
I've got some higher priority stuff than the collisions, but the collisions are in there. In case we need the time.
So we'll this will be, I think, decided on the fly somewhere early next week whether I pursue this or we pursue something else. But it is a good start. And then ultimately, I'm going to keep working on this because like all the best Friday problems, this is something that if it were solved would make things much better for me like right now. So I am not going to wait till next Friday to do the next bit of work on it. So I'm going to kind of push it forward down the line. Okay, gentlemen, let's go around the horn, starting with Chuck. I have barely had a chance to drink mine. I'm going to drink mine while you guys are talking.
That's because you were talking. The Sierra Nevada Sidecar Orange IPA. I'm going to give this a 3.5. It wasn't, stellar, but the citrus is a nice summer refreshing drink. The IPA, I'm kind of swinging back to the IPA side, not strong IPAs, but it's a nice change once in a while from all the regular lagers, and you can only do non-IPA stuff for so long. So 3.5.
All right. So for me, the Boulevard tequila barrel lime goza was quite delicious. This is a 4.25. This is
Nice.
an excellent beer, and I could just go get a case of this, and I'd be happy.
So a tequila is specific to me. Like a tequila barrel thing is not a selling point because
No.
I have not been able to drink tequila for approximately 31 years.
Approximately.
For going back to a specific night in my life that has some conditioning, some behavioral science.
He learned a
Just
lesson,
the
folks.
smell of tequila to this day, 3 decades later, does not invoke happy memories. So for me, like bourbon barreled stuff, I love, but a tequila barrel thing, I don't know if I would love that. That is not the genre.
It was
that is me.
not in the name. So
Yeah. It's very subtle, you're saying.
very subtle.
Okay. And my O'Shea's Irish Stout, I actually like this. It's contextually like the middle of July or end of July is probably not the best time for it. This would be a great like
Winter beer.
October by a campfire beer.
Okay.
Would be like the perfect context for this. I'm going to give it a 3.75 because I do actually like it and I like this genre, but it's not quite the right time for it. If you
Not
know.
the shining example of it, and it's not the right time.
Yeah. So, but no, this actually, this one is not as skunked as I feared. This is not. There's a couple in here that I know have been in here. I think I want to say maybe 2 years. So, not the best keeping of it. Do we have anything from the chat we want to address, either Twitch or YouTube, before we head out of here?
No, we were keeping up with them along the way.
Okay.
So
All right, excellent. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you everybody for watching. And
You bet.
as Andrew and Chuck were discussing, if you would have in your locality a developer meetup, there is a reason why we want to put effort into doing all this stuff, because we want to make it easy for people to attend meetups. And that is one of the things, a good service that the community of developers, basically, although we provide some very minimal material and support, it's the community. It's people like Andrew, and it's people, the various organizers, and Mike Stockman and 46 other people who organize these things, with their own time and their own
that
Much
the explosion
appreciated.
of them has been great. And so I've enjoyed it. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, and I just really enjoy the developer meetups. They fill a need that the Snugs don't do for us.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. They're much more like like a language user group than a Snug. They're more like your Java user group, your JavaScript user group. And by design, that's kind of how we want it to be, because those tend to be content heavy, tech heavy, minus there's a reason why we don't want them marketing heavy, because we want the developers basically, to quote the title of another conference, just no fluff, just stuff, right? There's a reason why that's a compelling name for a conference. So that's how we want to organize them. So Thanks everybody, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And now let's shut down the YouTube.